morning. You're listening to Melody and Beth Ann in the morning.
Yes, they are listening to us sing away, aren't they?
We're going to have to work on your harmony, girlfriend. We're going to have to work on that. But your tap dancing is perfect. I just want you to know your tap dancing is perfect. Anyway, you're listening to Power Talks, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth. And we all know that the truth will set you free. It might make you mad, but it'll set you free. I watched something this morning as I was searching for news, and it was, I guess it's a new show they're doing. You know, I don't really get into the reality shows. I always say that I have a lot of Marine followers on CSC Talk Radio and Facebook and Twitter. It seems like a Marine magnet or something. The Marines are very patriotic, and they very down to earth, but hoorah, you know. Well, anyway, this is a new show, I guess, and it's reporters versus the firefighters or the Marines. And these Marines, they had the video that I watched. They'd set up a fire. It was an airplane that was on fire, and you had to put it out and go rescue the individual that was in there, and it's all on a time. You know, they're timing it. So the Marine goes in there, and of course he puts out the fire and rescues the dummy. It's a dummy in there in under a minute. The first reporter goes in, and I think it took him like 4 minutes. And the second reporter, which was a female, it took her, I think, 5 minutes. I could be wrong on the time, but it was quite a bit more than the Marine. And it was kind of comical because they were acting like the dummy was just so heavy. And, of course, if you're pulling a body out and it's unconscious, it's going to be dead weight, you know. And so they're pulling this dummy out, and they flash up this little sign on the video that the dummy doesn't even weigh 125 pounds. And it must have at least weighed 100 pounds. The woman could not hardly drag it out. I mean, I'm thinking this poor person, had it been real, they would have never made it. So anyway, definitely the Marines won. But I thought I've not seen this before, but it's reporter versus Marine. And I guess they're setting up, training sessions like the Marines do all the time. And these reporters are trying to outdo the Marines. And I don't think it's going to work unless you come up to a reporter that has been a Marine. So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting, and it's always nice to watch our heroes in action. And the Marines were just, it was nothing. They go in there, grab the dummy, pull the dummy out, and save the day. But it was a new reality show, I guess. Anyway, it was on YouTube. It was I got it off of the Daily Caller. But so, what's new in your world? Have you saved any dummies out of firing planes lately?
No, but I read about a lot of dummies.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of dummies in the news. I watch the news,
yes.
and there's a lot of dummies there. But hey, I say that with with kindness, but here's an interesting thing.
He says it in love.
With love, yes.
Saying it in love. Criticism is love.
Well, this was published about an hour ago. Trump is canceling his South American trip to oversee the American response to Syria, so he's not going to go to South America this week. Vice President Mike Pence will make the trip, and he is staying in the United States again to oversee the American response to Syria and to monitor developments around the world. This was the 8th summit of the Americas in Lima, Peru, and we're traveled to Bogota, Colombia, as originally scheduled. Those were the places he was to go. And so it's, we're not sure what the response is going to be, but there was an interesting Pat Buchanan wrote a nice little, if I can pull it up here, and he says the title of his article was "What Has the War Party Hooked Trump?" And he said before any U.S. attack, Trump should make sure there is more hard evidence that Assad launched his poison gas attack. This is talking to prior to his article. He says the history of war proves that false flag attacks work. Thus, when we learn of the latest attack, bombing or shooting, the question we must always keep in mind is who benefits? And this is what his article is about. It's about
I'm going to have to grab that one.
Who truly benefits, and it's a great little article. It's not lengthy or anything, but he is the war party that was repudiated in 2016 appears to be back in the saddle. But before he makes good on that threat of a big price to pay, Trump should ask his advisors what comes after the attack on Syria. Lest we forget, there was a reason Obama did not strike Syria. Americans rose up as one and said, we don't want another Middle Eastern war. John Kerry did go to the Capitol Hill for authorization. Congress, sensing the national mood, declined to support any such strike. We had a year ago Trump's strike, 59 cruise missiles on the air base that was allegedly launched at the sarin gas attack, was supported only because Trump was new in office, and the strike was not seen as the beginning of a longer and deeper involvement in a war Americans did not want to fight. So he goes on and he talks about again having more hard evidence that Assad is the one that did this, and he made some interesting points. He said that also the Russia. He's questioning, did Russia launch that poison gas attack in Salisbury, England?
Well, they claim they didn't.
Well, he says 1 month after that attack, the Prime Minister Theresa May ascribed to Russia, and the Foreign Minister Boris Johnson laid at the feet of Putin himself. Questions have arisen. If the nerve gas used, Novichok, was of military variety, so deadly it could kill anyone who came near, why is no one dead from it? Both the target and his daughter, they're recovering. So if the deadly poison was, as reported, put on the doorknob of their home, how did he and his daughter manage to go to a restaurant after being contaminated, with neither undergoing a seizure until later on a park bench?
Interesting.
If Russia did it, why are the British scientists now admitting that they have not yet determined the source of the poison? Why would Putin, with the prestige of hosting the World Cup in June on the line, perpetrate an atrocity that might have killed hundreds and caused nations not only to pull out of the games, but to break diplomatic relations with Russia? So, these are, if Putin indeed wanted to deal with Trump, why abort all such prospects with the poison gas murder of a has-been KGB agent in Britain? The sole beneficiaries of the gas attacks in Salisbury and Syria appear to be the war party. So, it does concern when you begin to question, who truly benefits, as we talked about yesterday, and why would they do these at this particular time? Although, I have no doubt that countries do things to their citizens in order to, promote their agenda and so forth.
Right.
They have just as many false flags as we do.
I thought it was kind of funny, that everybody's saying, well, Russia's saying, fake news. They called it something else, but that's basically what it was fake news. And I'm laughing because isn't that what we've been doing to MSNBC and CNN and NBC and ABC and CBS and sometimes Fox? But when I was watching last night, Tucker Carlson was not on board with going to war with Syria, and neither was Lou Dobbs. He was hot. He said, why would he do this? He said, he needs to stop and think about this. This is not why the American people elected him. They don't want a war in Syria. And you're absolutely right. When President Obama was talking about that red line, drew that red line in the sand and then walked off, the American people made a lot of phone calls to D.C. and told him, "Don't you dare get us in a war just because you got your face slapped a little bit. Don't you dare go get us in a war because you made a comment and didn't do anything." And they were all trying to get Obama to go to war then. Hannity still talks about that. They were all trying to get President Barack Obama to get into a war with Syria.
Mm-hmm. So, and he really does what would be next. So it concerns me that Trump canceled his trips to the South in order to monitor the situation, because what are you monitoring unless it's something major? So
right. I think it does. I'd see that. We do have a caller, but I do think he needs to keep an eye on it. I hope that he's not going to let everybody push him around. We do have Lauren from Ohio. Lauren, good morning.
Hey, Bees. How are you doing?
We're doing good. How about you?
Hey, it reminds me of don't let a good opportunity go to waste. Okay, that Russian, the poisoning situation in England, that was food. They had seafood poisoning. That's why there were something like 20-something other people that were affected. They said, he was gassed in a park. And there were 27 other people, or some number in the 20s. Remember, they were talking about the other people that were affected? Mm-hmm. Do you remember any of this?
I did not hear the other people, but you're right.
Okay, well, here's the deal. It was shellfish poisoning. That's what happened. But these people don't let a good opportunity, go to waste. So blame Russia, blame Russia. That's what they're doing. It's the same stuff, different day. SSBD.
Russia only wish they had that much power.
Well, let me tell you something.
Russia can do stuff that they want to do, but they're not interested in doing this. They're trying to. Here's the funny thing. The week before the attack, this supposed gas attack, which, by the way, didn't happen, there's no evidence of a chemical attack. There's no hospital admissions. They have 3 weeks ago, the United Nations troops setting up sound stages for this thing. Putin tried to meet with President last week before it happened because they knew it was coming, and it's just fake. But this is the thing. They keep doing this because people are just so dumbed down. They just don't know and understand anything, and they don't want to know and understand anything. But that last set of chemical attacks, remember the one where they had all the children lined up, and you see as they're panning out, one of the kids peeks his eye open because is the filming over? Okay, but they really did blow up Camisea. United States blew up Camisea full of U.S. weapons that they gave Saddam Hussein and killed tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers over a long and terrible death. You know what I mean? This was poisoning that they just died slowly, but hundreds of thousands of American troops died after that war. There were like 20-something killed during the 4-day war, but then hundreds of thousands of them died afterward. And a kid I grew up with died, 39 years old. These people were poisoned by our own, they don't care about poisoning people or gassing people. We do it all the time, okay? And it's not us, it's criminals in this government. So
do you remember when President Trump took a lot of heat because he told the press, he says, you think the United States is so innocent? And they just went ballistic, the Democrats and all that. Oh, you should never have said such a thing.
Well, I mean, you're not allowed to say the truth. Remember Trafficant, when he laid out exactly what was going with the IRS? It's not a government body.
He's the first one that said this country was bankrupt.
Well, that's right, and look what they did to him. Look what they did to him.
Yep.
And there's others that they've done that to. So even being high up in office doesn't protect you. I don't know. Trump might be staying home. President Trump might be staying home because, they're threatening to blow up his plane if he doesn't give them what they want. They want that genie oil. These people want Syria because they've got genie oil. Look who's on the board of directors. Okay? Right. This is what's going on.
We're heading into a break. We've got less than 30 seconds. Thank you, Lauren, for your call. You're listening to Power Talk 7-1.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Office Box 73, California, Missouri 65018, or order online at CSETalkRadio.com. $5 is a small amount to pay for a pocket full of power. And we have Churchill listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. I do want to give out a number for the White House. I have 2 numbers, and one of them Lauren actually gave us yesterday, so I've got that one. And you need to write it down and keep it. Put these numbers in your cell phone or your, what do you call, speed dial, and mark them White House. And 202-456-1414. That's the one that Lauren gave us yesterday, 202-456-1414. Now, I have another switchboard number, 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. And you let the White House know we don't really want to just jump into war here. And we do have a caller, and I had something I was going to read about that, but we're going to go to Joe first. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I called that number that Lauren gave out yesterday, and I got through to the White House, and I had to stay on hold for a while, but I finally got through to somebody and made a comment. So that number does work to get to the White House. And it sounds to me like Pat Buchanan is really seeing things straight. You know, I think he's right on everything he says.
He always has.
And what?
He always has.
Yeah, I like him. I've liked him for a long time, too. Yeah, I think he's very good. And my my whole kind of speculation about what's going on here is that the New World Order people really want to keep Putin and Trump apart and get a war with the United States and Russia if they possibly can, because, okay, it looks to me like if Putin and Trump really got together and really talked, with each other and really, put their hearts out to each other and everything like this, excuse me, then they might find that they have an awful lot in common, because both of them seem to be nationalistic, that want their countries to be strong and independent and, not under the thumb of the New World Order people. And so, if they really got together and really communicated with each other, they might find that they have a lot in common and they want to work together, kind of against the New World Order take over the world. And so, of course, they want to prevent that. So they do everything they can to stir up antagonism between Putin and between Trump, I believe. And it seems like another benefit, if they could get a big conflict going between Russia and the United States, seems to me, is that it seems like the favored country of the New World Order is China. I heard that David Rockefeller said that he really liked the way that the Chinese government controlled the people over there, and Apple has moved their headquarters to China. Apparently they seem to really like the Chinese system, and helping with the Chinese implementation of their social credit system to completely control the behavior of the people. And they'd like to do the same thing here in the United States. So it seems like that's their favorite country. So if they can get some kind of a conflict going between Russia and the United States that would really weaken the United States and Russia, then that would leave the field more clear for China to completely dominate the world. So that's kind of my speculation of what's going on here.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I said that the other night. I was telling my husband, I said, I think that the Democrats have long wanted a war with Russia. I don't know why, but, when Obama was in there, he was kind of schmoozing up to Putin. But they were doing something behind the scenes, and I believe that was probably the Uranium One deal that was going down. But it's definitely that they don't like what Trump's doing, and I'm just hoping that he's smart enough to figure out that these guys aren't 100% honest. But anyway, thank you, Joe.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, Joe. Before we go to the next caller, I wanted to read something that's coming from an article, and this was written by Christopher Bedford. It's the Daily Caller, but the title of this article is Terrible Images from Criminal War Simply Aren't a Good Enough Reason for Americans to Fight and Die. He says, raise your hand if you didn't know Bashar al-Assad was a bad man before this weekend. And he says, raise the other if you didn't know that women and children and the elderly were suffering and even dying in Syria's brutal civil war. And he says, okay, now raise your hand. Your foot, he says, raise your right foot if this newfound knowledge has you excited for another long American war in the Middle East, because that's what a good number of politicians and pundits are clamoring for. And that's what Tucker Carlson was saying last night on his show. We can't get them to agree on anything, but by golly, these enemies up there in D.C., they're agreeing on going to war in Syria. They're on it right now. I mean, that's what they want to do. And I thought it was really kind of telling. When they start agreeing on something, boy, you better perk your ears up and start pushing back. Anyway, we're going to go to David in Ohio. David, how are you today? Iowa. I'm sorry. Iowa. I'm sorry. That's my fault. Iowa. How are you?
We sure got a weak connection. Anyway, I was just watching RT America this morning. They're showing on there, they're saying that Russia and Syria did the inspections. There were no chemicals involved at all in this. It's all a false flag. Okay, so you don't care about that. But Dr. Ron Paul was on the same program, and he's saying the same thing. And he says it's all just like it happened last year. It's all a false flag, the whole thing. Amazing. It's on RT America. They've been showing it over and over this morning. It's a good thing to check out. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. So, I think any time we have these politicians that hate each other starting to agree on something, you need to beware.
But I'm not so sure why anyone is surprised that we're seeing this type of thing. I mean, unfortunately, Trump has surrounded himself by the war party. So what direction do you think we're going to be headed in? what direction do you think and what's going to happen, whether it be Syria or whether it be, someplace else? That just happens to be the hot spot at the moment. So if there's if even, Pat Buchanan, who says the war party is there.
Mm.
So, and, and these are people he chose. These are people that Donald Trump has chosen. So, you kind of get a little bit of a conflicting, for one moment you're draining the swamp, and then the next minute you bring the swamp even closer to you. So, it's, what is the game? I was reading where Putin is the wealthiest man on the planet. He hides a lot of his money in various countries through his diplomats. Well, so you ask your question, why then, are these diplomats being targeted if you don't, and, I don't either, if that was a false flag in England and all these diplomats are being thrown out of the United States, well, perhaps that's more to control his money. There's, everybody's after money. Everybody wants a little more than what they got, so it's kind of interesting that what the final, and again, I believe it's the the condition of these economies around the world.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've long heard since I was a little girl, that there's money in war. And unfortunately, there's also a lot of death and destruction. And so with that said, I also heard, talking about Putin's wealth, that he actually kicked those Soros out of his country. They don't allow Soros in that country and here because he's a crook and he's an evil man. And so I don't think Putin's a nice guy that you want to trust and chum with, but I think you need to I think we do need to get along, and that's what, President Trump has said in the past, that we need to get along with other countries and other nations, and we can't force our way of life and our government on them. They need to take care of theirs, and we'll take care of ours, and that's not necessarily being isolationist. That's just being,
Soros has become the picture, the poster boy
of the bad guy,
of the elite. He's an old man. He should be dying pretty soon.
What do you think?
He's the poster boy that it covers up everyone else that's really doing the harm. Everybody, Soros's money is going here. Soros's money, that's all he's got left. No one talks about his boy, his son, his corporation, his and I get that money does influence elections and so forth. I get that. But he's just the poster boy anymore. He's a has-been. No one talks, and even Kissinger, he's a has-been, but he's still been in that White House how many times since Trump has been elected? 5, 6, 7 times? That's a lot.
My dad never trusted him.
For Kissinger?
Never. Yeah.
So, it's, I don't know, but, 1 and 1 is not equaling 2, and you have to raise questions. That doesn't mean, every time you try to raise a question and try to find an answer, all of a sudden you're anti-Trump and all this kind of stuff. No, I'm not. But we can't. We have to find the truth. We have to look for the truth.
We've been going blindly for years, decades. I think it's time that we stopped going blindly and we questioned everyone. Question President Donald Trump, question the Democrat Party, question the Republicans, question them every time they want to do something, question this idiotic, very expensive, what do they call it, special counsel, that's just causing havoc. And, perhaps Trump's falling into their traps, perhaps he's not. But they are making life rough on him. They will not let go. And if it isn't one thing, it's another. The one thing that they're supposedly, let me see if I can find it here, investigating Trump for $150,000 donation that came from the Ukrainian. Yet they totally ignored that the same Ukrainian people, or whatever the organization was, paid Clinton $13 million. So the special counsel's office is investigating a $150,000 donation a Ukrainian businessman made to Donald Trump's charity, but the same businessman made a $13 million donation to the Clinton Foundation, and that's not being investigated. You didn't see anybody storming the doors of Clinton's whenever she got rid of all those emails and started smashing phones and computers. You didn't see anybody go in there and go after that. We've got so many people that are dirty up there, and it has been suggested, I don't want to believe it, it's been suggested that Sessions was a part of the Uranium One deal. And that's one reason he's not doing nothing. I hope that's not true. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you that these people they're all dirty up there in D.C., with the exception of a handful that are trying to do the right thing. I want to believe there's a handful of them, but
well, the handful are all leaving. They're all leaving. The cowards. That's what they are. They're cowards. They can't stand the fight.
Where are the founding fathers of today? The brave men that will stand up and fight. We see a lot of it. I say that, Melody, but this Range Rights and Resource Symposium I'm going to next week, or next weekend, not this weekend, but the next, on the 20th and the 21st of April. Those folks are people that have been boots on the ground and being attacked by our bureaucracy, our government, over land rights, over stupid things, the EPA, the USDA, Uncle Sam destroying agriculture. These folks that will be speaking, one of them is Ammon Bundy. One of them I interviewed yesterday, and his name is Duarte, John Duarte. They have a big farm where they raise trees and produce, and they were plowing. And you're not supposed to plow a certain depth, which they did not. It was proven that they did not, but they still kept coming after him. And he was a Sessions fan, and he's not right now because Sessions did nothing for them. But he claimed that, I can't think of his name now, the new Secretary of Agriculture did listen to him. They ended up having to settle, though. Why should they have had to settle when they were found innocent of doing what they were accused of? And anyway, there are people that are standing up and fighting, but the government is breaking people. I mean, it's just breaking them financially and otherwise. Wayne Hage, his wife, lost her life because of the stress that they were under with that ranch and the government coming after them. That was the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, or the Forest Service, going after them. There are, I'm trying to correct myself because I threw out that question, where's the founding fathers of today? They're out there. They're out there, but America doesn't see them because they're so busy in a battle of their own to try and save their land, to try and save their companies, their families. Who can take a lawsuit that costs you millions and millions and millions of dollars? I know I can't. Heck, they come after me for $600, I'm done. But they are out there. We do have stand-up Americans out there. We just need to keep encouraging them. That's why we're here.
We do. Very, very well put. We do have them out there, and so it's we have a tough, big hill to climb. But and the only thing we can do is truly try to expose. And folks need to, make your voices heard. This isn't going to end nicely.
Mm-mm. Oh no.
This isn't going to end with a handshake.
No.
This isn't going to end with everyone smiling and benefiting from everything that has gone on in the past. And yeah, I am going to come back to our financial system.
Yep.
I actually was talking to someone that was we have Greg Hunter on our program today, and they were talking about, I guess, David Stockman. He's going to interview this week, or he's already interviewed him, and they were talking about China's debt, and they have so much more debt than what we have as the United States, and the United States is going to work our way out of our debt. They believe, and I'm thinking to myself, like, really? And again, that's a positive. That's a great, cheerleading way to, to view the future. With the talk of the money that's going to be repatriated back into this country, we all know the majority of it's going to go back into buying back shares. But on the other hand, they haven't done it so far yet. That means they're holding off for the right moment. The right moment for these multinational corporations to buy back their shares is going to be when the market begins to unravel. And they'll go in there and prop it up. And we think they'll do that this fall. But yet we don't know if there isn't going to be some other, war with Syria. What happens if, you have the FBI raid on Cohen? All the phone records, files, documents, taxes, things that who knows what's going to come out of that. And I don't think anybody should be cheering, whether if you dislike Trump, I don't think you should be cheering that this is going on.
This too could happen to you.
But exactly. But you do have to get to, I don't know if there's anything there or not. If there's something there, well, you know what? We should know. As a witch hunt, even Bill Clinton said when they were going after him on Whitewater, it was a witch hunt. So they're all witch hunts. So we can't pick and choose the witch hunts.
Well, and Whitewater turned into a blue dress with Monica Lewinsky.
Turned into a blue dress with Monica Lewinsky. Exactly.
But Whitewater did happen.
Exactly. So
Whitewater was real.
Yes, it was. And I heard that there was, with this Chappaquiddick movie that came out with Ted Kennedy, I heard they were trying to make movies on the Clintons and what happened, and I think they had to pull them. They won't do any movies, based on. Maybe it's because they're still alive. I don't know if that. I can't imagine Hollywood having any type of ethics.
They haven't yet.
They haven't proven yet, so I can't imagine why. But do you want to go to
Neil? He's been patient. He's been patiently waiting. Neil, how are you today?
Doing all right. You were talking about fighting back. Well, first thing people need to do is educate themselves as to what's going on. The people that generally are fighting back are people who come under attack first. The government goes after them for one reason or another.
Right. When it hits home, it gets personal. Mm-hmm.
But the biggest problem is education. People simply don't know. It's like this guy, Tom, that called in last week, said there's no law that says you have to pay income tax if you use Federal Reserve notes. Well, he's wrong. Okay, there is a law. It's called the Foreign Agents Registration Act. It's an official act of Congress that says if you operate as an agent of a foreign corporation, you're required to file a business report every year letting the government know how much business you've done for that corporation in that year. Okay, that's your Form 1040. Now, once you've used the Federal Reserve note, obviously an agent of a foreign corporation, because the Federal Reserve is a foreign corporation hired by the U.S. government to implement monetary policy. They're not a branch of the U.S. government. So once you're operating as their agent, you've got to report to the government how much business you're doing for them so that you can be taxed on it pursuant to Title 26. And that's all the regulations of how you get taxed based upon your participation in the program of operating as a foreign agent. But people don't know this, so they waste a lot of time and a lot of money educating themselves on the 16th Amendment and all kinds of other Mickey Mouse scams that guys have got going that don't know what they're talking about. They're trying to get people to protest the taxes and fight against the government and the tax issue and the IRS and all that. And they're just wasting their time because they don't understand what it is that got them into the mess to start with. It's the voluntary use of the Federal Reserve note. So just quit using them. That's the simplest way to do it. Quit using them. Go to use checks, money orders, and if you ever cash a check, make sure you put cashed in coin on the back of the check. The banks literally have billions of $1 coins sitting around in the vaults. Now, some local banks may not have them, but they can order them through the Federal Reserve. You know, all the Federal Reserve banks are loaded with them because they're required to carry them for the use by the citizens, so that the citizens don't have to operate as agents of this foreign corporation and use the Federal Reserve note. It's a choice. But once you made that choice, that's where you get sunk. And that's where, and if you know anything about the law of agency, in other words, if you're operating as somebody's agent, anything you acquire using their notes becomes their property. It's not your property. They just let you keep it and play with it until you do something to make them mad, then they come take it all away from you. And that's what the IRS does. As soon as you make them mad, they come take your house, your car, whatever you got. And you have to prove in court that you didn't use their notes to acquire that stuff. That's why you need all your receipts signed, paid in coin. So I know I had a buddy bought him a brand new Winnebago like 20 years ago, paid for it in coin, and got himself a receipt that said paid in coin. And since he didn't drive, he only traveled in it. He didn't get tags, license, nothing. And he beat him every place, but he had to fight his way across the United States. Every time he got stopped, he had to go to court and prove that he was the owner. He had the MSO in his hand. See, that's another thing. People don't understand. The title to a vehicle is not the certificate of title they send you from the state. It's the manufacturer's statement of origin, the MSO. And they're hard to get unless you buy a brand new vehicle and you demand that the salesman give you that MSO. Otherwise, they'll send it to the state, and then the state will send you a certificate certifying that you have just registered your vehicle to be used for commercial business purposes. And that's what that's for. So they can con you into paying taxes on it. It's education, what it boils down to. So people need to get in and dig and find out, you know, what the facts of the case are, and read some U.S. Supreme Court decisions on particular subjects you're interested in. See what they've had to say about things. So,
I appreciate it, Neil. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're absolutely right. He is right. We do have to educate ourselves, and I'm probably one of the worst ones about not being educated at times. But I'll tell you what, it really is not as complicated as everybody would like us to believe. They want you to think it is, but if you get in and you start reading and listen to what's really being said and what's going on around, you'll find out it's not all that complicated. We've just been having the wool pulled over our eyes. I hear music. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome, but 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann, we're going to be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis. as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Thank you. And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann. We're going to go to the phone lines. Try to keep your points quick and short because we've got some callers piling up. So we're going to go to Tom in Michigan. Tom, how are you today?
Hi, fine. Yeah, you're just talking about what I was talking about, the 16th Amendment and the Federal Reserve notes. And it occurs to me that I don't think the law expressly states that you have to pay tax if you use Federal Reserve notes. But give him that argument and say that he's absolutely correct. He couldn't give all the details. It would still be an excise tax on using Federal Reserve notes. But all excise tax has to be uniform. And if I'm paying a different rate than somebody with a bunch of children or something of that nature, all the deductions and things of that nature, it's not uniform. So seems to me like that's the simple argument, and keeping it short, and that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Tom. We've got Roger in Colorado. Roger, how are you today?
Good morning, ladies. I love your show, and I'll get right to the point. You were asking about the founding fathers of today. Where are they? Well, I've been an activist since '79, and they're all over the place. Up here in Park County, Colorado, the guy's name's Roger Easley, and he sent you that autobiography. That's Crazy Rods. Did you get that, Beth Ann?
I'm trying to remember. Was that recently or?
Well, I sent it a few weeks back. I'm running for sheriff up here in Park County, Colorado.
I did get that. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so you ought to take a look at that, and you'll see that one of those founding fathers is me. And I just wanted to let you know I'm still here. Would love you to read the book and let all the other patriots out there in the country know you're not alone. I've been doing this since '79, pretty much full time. And, man, I'll tell you, there's a bunch of us out there. We're coming together a little bit more all the time. So God bless all of you out there that stand, and we'll talk again.
Don't go away, Roger. I have a question for you.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I don't know how true this is. This is from GOP USA. This is out of Boulder, Colorado. The Daily Camera, the Boulder City Council on Thursday, that was last week, passed on first reading an ordinance that bans the sale and possession of certain firearms defined as assault weapons.
Well, I hadn't read that yet, but I'll be hearing about everything that goes on in the state within 24 to 48 hours. I live out here in the mountains in a cabin, so sometimes the news takes a little while, unless I get off of you guys on the shortwave. But I'll look into that. It doesn't surprise me that they're clamping down on all of our rights here. I've been fighting to defend all of our rights, and now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to add the Second Amendment to that list.
The First Amendment's under attack pretty heavy, too, and they know that we're on to them, and I think that's why they're fighting all the harder.
Okay, ladies, the answer is we need someone like me as sheriff in every county. My book is That's Crazy Raj. It's available on Amazon. Beth Ann, please take a look at the one that you got. And I love your show. I love you, ladies, and I'm going to let you get to somebody else. My number's in that book. Give me a call anytime.
All right,
Roger. Thanks.
Thank you.
But, yeah, this was something I had wanted to talk about. The city attorney, Tom Carr, drafted assault weapons are defined as all semi-automatic rifles that have the capacity to attach a detachable magazine. They're also going after the pistols that can accept a magazine. So,
and they're wanting to start confiscating if they pass a law that there's a certain gun that they are no longer going to allow you to have or to buy or to purchase or whatever. They're wanting to pass a bill, and I can't remember the woman's name that's doing it or what state she was out of. I want to say Michigan, but I'm not sure that's true. And then they would go and confiscate it. And, if that happens, we're in big trouble.
Well, I mean,
if they start confiscating guns, we're in big trouble.
This is something that, when you have these red flag states that are taking the weapons and then you go to court to find out if you have issues, that is confiscation of weapons.
Absolutely.
Now, the thing of it is with this is a city council, and so they're doing it locally. They're passing these bans and or trying to, and so they're taking it under their, they're just throwing everything away and saying, hey, we can ban this. We can ban this. And it's done on a small basis. I don't know how big Boulder City is. But they unanimously passed on the first reading of the ordinance. So, and it's not just the sale, it's the possession. So again, you're having, forget the federal government. You're having these things done on a very small and local basis.
And I think we mentioned
that's
that.
Dangerous. Because the thing of it is, if this city is liberal, they'll pass it and love it.
I think we talked about that a little bit last week one day about this city versus the rural areas. And the lifestyle is totally different. Totally different. So, the folks in the city, they want one way, and the people in rural America, they live another way. And, that's one reason that, and the population in the city and the population in the rural towns are scattered. We have a lot of people that live on farms, live on ranches, have land. And that's one thing that they want to do. They want to take the land. They want to control your lives. Well, when you're in the city, and I guess you got all these people crammed in an area, I guess I could see where you might want to have some control over that. But that's one reason that they're questioning the Electoral College, because they want the cities to rule over everything. That's mob rule. I had some people upset with me when they didn't agree with me over the Electoral College when I was going off on that during the election. But it's because people don't understand. They really don't understand. Why would somebody in New York be telling me here in Missouri how to live? The lifestyles are totally different, and you should be ruled by locals. But if you've got locals that are wanting to confiscate guns and take guns away, you need to elect better locals. And it's the same thing with the others, and that's easier said than done, I do realize, because a lot of good people, Fortunately, Roger's one of the good guys that wanted to run, but a lot of the good guys don't want to get in an office. And Roger, I do have your book. I do remember now. It came just right after I had my surgery done, so I have not had the time to look at it, but it is laying on my desk along with a lot of other things laying on my desk. I do have it. So anyway. So there we are, girl.
There we are.
There we are.
What happened to all our callers?
Well, we wore them out. We told them to hurry, and it's my fault.
But
was Zuckerberg supposed to go before testify today before Congress?
But he's not.
Interesting.
My question is, what's the point if you're not going to be under oath? What's the point? So what a waste of time, of money. These people don't have anything else to do. It's it's just another show. Just another show.
Showbiz. No wonder Hollywood supports DC so much. It's all one big showbiz.
Yeah. And Zuckerberg says he just found out 2 weeks ago that the bad actors were harvesting, users' private info by the millions. Oh, please.
Did you hear what they'd done to, what is their name? Silk and, Diamond and Silk?
Yeah, but I'm not a fan, you know.
Well, I'm not it doesn't matter if you're a fan of them or not. But they squashed them on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because they said they were a danger to the community.
Yes, that is.
But, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's somebody you agree with or not. They were not a danger. They weren't using...
Well, I'm pretty sure it was Facebook when I tried to use the word freedom that they said the word was offensive. I couldn't
that
use
would be
it.
because they don't allow freedom on Facebook.
No, it was offensive to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
community, that kind of talk.
Yes.
Danger to the communist community.
Yeah, they just want idiot information floating around on Facebook. You know, they don't want people to have any intelligent conversations or thoughts or anything like that. You don't want to think. Oh, heavens.
And they are gathering
no
information.
critical thinking.
They're gathering personal information. Yeah.
It is, but is anybody shocked or surprised?
No. Like I said, I had a girlfriend get married, and all of it's all over my computer because I did some searching for jewelry or for clothes, for dresses for the girls, and shoes and such. And now I've got all this stuff popping up all over. And when they were looking for rings, I've got all this stuff popping up all over my computer. It's pretty pictures, but they're watching what you're after, and it's all marketing. Yeah, and then they sell it. That's not marketing. I hear the music. We are out of time today, but we will be back tomorrow with more Power Talk.
Visit crosstheborder.org, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.